guys, my best friend just had a child, and I would really, really like to pray for them right now. She's been, pregnant for 9 months. It's been really cool, seeing that and knowing that he's about to be a father. And I just want to pray for him real quick, so yeah. Dear God, thank you so much for this awesome day, for this, being able to gather here with family and friends. And I pray for the Reed family during this time as they're transitioning to parenthood, and as a lot of challenges but a lot of blessings are about to come into their life, Lord. And I pray that we can be there for them, and I also pray that during this book signing that we can hopefully encourage some people, and we can, above anything else, glorify you by our lifestyle, by the habits we have, and by the way we live our life, and by how we love people. In Jesus' name, pray. Amen. So, I'm not used to having that mic right here. Thank you guys for being here. Seriously, a lot of people I didn't know was going to be here, and you guys showed up, and it honestly means the world to me. And I really just, before we get into the book signing, I really want to talk about why I actually decided to write the book, and what it means to me, and just the process of how it happened, and all the cool things and the blessings that God has brought from it. So a lot of you know that COVID was really hard for me. I'm sure it was hard for a lot of you. I went through a period of time where I had no idea where I was going to go to college. I had no idea, what I was going to major in. I had no idea the direction I was going to go for my life, and that scared me because I felt like I was always the kind of guy that had everything figured out. I was the big FCA guy. I was the big student athlete. If somebody said, hey, who's Caleb Anderson? You'd probably say, oh, Caleb's a basketball player. He plays basketball, he works hard, this and that. But as I got older, I realized that I put a lot of my worth and my identity in basketball. And I put a lot of who I was, and my day was dictated by how well I played, by a lot of these things. And I realized that whenever things didn't go the way that I wanted, I resorted to looking to myself for fulfillment, for joy, for peace, for patience, for love, for all these things. And so whenever COVID happened, I was at the gym with Austin and Spencer Reeves, and we were, working out and playing and, doing all that. And I had a visit lined up to go to Williams Baptist University, which is where I play now. But I had a visit lined up to go there, and hopefully I was going to get offered a scholarship to, fulfill my dream and play college basketball. And then I got a text from my mom, and she said, hey, I just got an email, your visit's been canceled. And that, that really kind of just, was a stab to the chest. And I was like, okay, well, when is it going to happen again? And they said, well, later, they said it's going to happen in the next couple months, when things calm down or whatever. Long story short, that never happened. And then I had a dream to win the state championship in track. My junior year, I was 4th in the state in the 1,600 meter run, and all the kids in front of me graduated, so I had a chance to go win a state championship, and that was a really big deal to me. And then I got a call while I was at the gym that day too, and Spencer was like, hey, you're getting a call or whatever, and I looked, and it was Coach Miller. That was my track coach, and I was like, okay, well, hopefully this is some good news. I just found out my visit was canceled, and all this. And I picked up the phone, and I was like, hey, coach, what's up? And he was like, hey, how have you been? Are you still running? Are you doing this and that? And I was like, yeah, I've been working out. I was like, I'm just ready to, to compete. And he was just like, Caleb, I'm sorry, but I want you to know that track season's been canceled, and there's no way we're gonna compete. No matter what, it's canceled. And I was just like, okay, well, a lot, it was something else that kind of, struck me, and it was just all these things were happening, all at this time, and I sat and I paused, and I remember thinking to myself during COVID, and I was like, man, I'm living my life in a tremendous amount of fear and anxiety. I sat down, and I was just like, I don't know who I am. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what makes me special, what makes me unique, what makes me matter. I don't know these things. And I remember I sat down one day, and my dad looked at me, my dad, and he was just like, Caleb, you don't look like yourself. You don't, you're not smiling, you're not talking a lot. I don't know if you know, but if I'm not talking, I'm probably in a bad mood. If you haven't figured that out by now, I'm not exactly shy. But I just remember, sitting down, and he said, well, what's wrong? And I just looked at him and said, Dad, I don't know why I'm on this earth. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I don't know, like, what my occupation is going to be. I don't know where I'm going to go to college. Like, what's the reason I'm here? Like, why am I on this earth? Like, what's God's plan for my life? And he was like, well, son, I'm going to go give you something that helped me whenever I was in college. And I said, okay. And, I thought it was just going to be like another Bible, the 6 or 7 others that I already had, like a devotional or something like that. But he gave me this book by Rick Warren, and it's called The Purpose-Driven Life. And I sat down and I read this thing, and I was like, all right, this is going to tell me why I'm on earth. This is going to tell me why I'm here. And the very first sentence of the book said, it's not about you. And that hit me harder, still to this day, than anything's ever hit me in my entire life. And I realized that for so much of my life, I had said, what's going to make Caleb happy? What is going to fulfill Caleb's life? Like, it's all about Caleb. And I just was like, oh my gosh, like, my entire life, like, whenever I've been fearful, anxious, or whatever, I've just looked within myself. And I've been like, okay, well, what do I have to do in order to overcome this or overcome that? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I've been looking in all the wrong places this whole time. And the Bible actually tells us in 1 John 4:18 that there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out all fear. It doesn't say love casts out all fear, it says perfect love casts out all fear. Yeah, that's right, thanks. But no, I mean, seriously, after that, I remember going through a couple more things. My great-grandma died, and that was a big thing for me. My Meemaw, we were very close. That happened, and then I was at a prep school, and we only got to play 6 or 7 games. Like, it was a very, not within anyone's control. I mean, games got canceled because of COVID. I mean, we couldn't do anything. And again, I was, continuing to be shaken by a lot of these things, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, okay, I want to, I'm beginning to overcome these things. I'm beginning to realize that, overcoming fear is not about looking within myself. It's about looking to the Lord and His promises for my life. And I was like, I want to tell people about this. I want to, give this experience in some way. And I was at 747 in Jonesboro. It's, Central Baptist College. It's like a college service for college students. And the pastor looked at me, and I was at the service, and I listened to him, and it was really good. And I remember talking to him after, and I remember he was one of the first people that I just told all of this, anxiety and fear and insecurity and all these things that were happening in my life. And he looked at me, and he was just like, Caleb, I promise you, if you take what you've been through and you use it for God's glory, He's going to use your life to impact people in so many ways. And that was over 2 years ago. And that night, I remember I actually text Stetson, and I said, I'm going to write a book. And I was like, I don't know what it's going to be about. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I'm going to write a book. And I told a couple people, but I didn't tell a lot. And man, just looking back, the process going through that was really cool. Being able to get with the publisher, being able to sit down with people. And, one thing I did when we were going through the process of writing the book is I got 20 or 30 questions. And I was just like, okay, what's your biggest fear? What's your biggest insecurity? What do you struggle giving up to God? And things like that. And I would ask people these questions, and the responses were awesome, but I took the most common ones, and those were the examples I used and the things I honed in on in the book. And so I will give you a I won't spoil it for you, I'll give you a very rough, I would say, summary of what the book is about. The book is about not allowing fear to control your life. In whatever area it is that you struggle giving up to God, because we all struggle in some way, giving up our situations, our circumstances, whatever, to God. And so each chapter in this book is about giving a certain fear that overwhelms your life over to the Lord. And so, again, I won't spoil it, but the fear of failure, the fear of, what am I going to do with my life? The fear of, I'm never going to be good enough for my family, for my wife, my husband, depending on that, all that. And just whatever it is for you specifically that you struggle with giving over to the Lord, it's about not looking within yourself and saying, okay, I'm going to overcome this by my power, but by looking to the Lord and His promises for your life, through God's Word, through fellowship with other people, and through prayer. And so that is what the book's about. The last 3 chapters are about impacting people with your life and how you live it and your lifestyle and the things that you do each day, because that matters to me. Like I'm big on habits and lifestyle and honoring God with the way I live my life. So yeah, I do want to tell y'all one story real quick, and then I wanted to leave some, time open for anyone that has questions or whatever. Like just whatever you want to ask. I mean, I don't care for however long, but what I mean by like lifestyle and what I mean by your habits and things like that. I got the opportunity to work the Reeves Brothers basketball camp this last week. It was a really big deal because, when you're able to work a camp like that with your friends, but also, for a person on the caliber of being in the NBA and playing for the Los Angeles Lakers, like you're going to have a lot of kids who think, okay, well, he's friends with him, so I'm going to listen to this guy, like talking about me being a coach there. And so I was riding, kids would come up to me and they would say, hey, can I have your autograph or whatever, which I don't know why they wanted mine, but I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give you my autograph or whatever. And a little boy came up to me and I was looking in his eyes, I was like, I can't be at a camp like this and not talk about Jesus in some way. And so I took, probably about the second or third kid that came up to me, I started writing and I was like, okay, is it okay if I write a Bible verse on your shirt? And they said, yes, definitely. And so I asked 2 or 3 kids that, and after a while I was like, okay, I'm just gonna write it, I'm not even gonna ask them. And so I wrote Caleb Anderson, and then I wrote Romans 10:9 on each of their shirts. And a little boy, probably 7 or 8 years old, he came up to me and he just said, hey, Coach Caleb, what does that verse mean? I said, this one? He said, yeah, what is it? And I was like, well, it's Romans 10:9. And he said, well, what does it say? I said, it says, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe that God raised him from the dead, then you will be saved. And he said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, it means that if you accept Jesus into your heart, you'll go to heaven. And he went, but I've already done that. And I was like, well, I guess I'll see you in heaven one day. And he went, cool, and he ran away. But it was such a couple different kids would come up to me after and say, hey, what's that mean? What is this and that? And I was just like, wow, it means, and I would kind of walk them through it. And even if, in opportunities like that, you may be the only person that kid ever encounters that knows the Bible and that can share the gospel with them. You may be the only person that they ever have in a moment like that. And so I didn't get up there in the camp and be like, hey, Romans 10:9. I didn't do that. But in a moment where he said, hey, can I have your autograph? Can I talk to you? I took that and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I just want to encourage y'all that when you have moments at work, at school, or wherever, and you are given the opportunity to talk about Jesus, please do it. Don't be afraid to say the name Jesus. It's just been such a big thing for me, and that's me. This is not just go for it. Go for that dream that's on your heart. Yes, that is partially what I mean, but it's also I'm encouraging you just go for it. What if there's an opportunity in front of you to impact somebody's life, but you're just afraid, and you're like, I don't have the right words. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. But it's like God's got you, and He's gonna guide you and direct you through the Holy Spirit. And so I think that's something that I used to struggle with. I still do at times, but I feel like I've gotten a lot better about, if I feel God laying it on my heart to talk to somebody, to share the gospel with them, I'm just like, all right, Lord, let's go. And so that's all I want to encourage you guys with. I think I covered most about the book, but yeah, thanks for letting me talk. Does anybody have any questions? I'll give it a minute of awkward silence.
Hey, Taylor?
Yeah.
I guess, who was your biggest inspiration growing up, or through your high school career, or, where did you get your side of God, of course?
Yeah.
From coach, parent?
Now, do you mean basketball-wise or Jesus-wise?
Just in general.
So I would say 2 people, and I credit him a lot, but I would definitely say Spencer Reeves. Like, I mean, he was my hero growing up. Like, I wanted to be like him so bad. And I don't mean this in a bad way to my Batesville people, but I didn't look up to anyone basketball-wise at Batesville. Like, I didn't, like, I seriously, like, I had an experience where, I was telling my brother about this last night. There was a group of guys who literally laughed at me for being in the gym after practice. And, you know, but whenever I would go watch, you know, Spencer and Austin at Cedar Ridge, they were so encouraging. They would say, stay in the gym every day. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do anything. And yeah, so I would definitely say him. Like, he kind of helped me fall in love with the game of basketball, and my grandpa too, P-Paul. I mean, he kind of taught me how to shoot and how to, you know, play the game the right way. I would say Christian influence-wise, 100% Tim Tebow. Like, that's my biggest role model, even to this day. Like, that's, you know, yeah. So. Anyone else?
Where did the cover of your book come from? How'd that come about?
Thank you, Father. So they gave me, they said, what do you want it to look like? Like, what's your vision for it? And I was like, you know, I want it to be like somebody like taking a leap of faith. Like, I don't know what that looks like. How exactly, you know, like I'm not, so writing and reading, that's my thing, but like art, like being artistic is not. I'm the stick figures guy. Like, I don't know how to draw or anything like that. I'm not very good with that stuff. So I gave it to them and I was like, just, you know, do whatever. This is my vision. And they sent me about 500 pictures and they were just like, okay, well, which one of these like best shows like what you want people to get from it? And I saw this and I was like, definitely this, because I think, like, you know, when I was younger, Todd Baumgartner was my huddle leader at an FCA camp, and he showed like a picture of a bridge to us, and he was saying that, like, you know, you could think of this as, you know, giving your life to Jesus. First you're here, and then you give it to him, and now you're over here, and you think of, okay, well, I have this business idea, but nobody believes in it, so I got to go from here to here, taking a leap of faith. And so there's so many different things. But when I was younger, like I said, Todd showed me this bridge, and he showed me a Bible and said, think about it, like this is like the cross, and this is Jesus dying for you, and he bridges the gap from sin to God. And so there were just so many different things about this cover that I love. And yeah, this is ultimately the one I decided, and I think they did a really, really good job, and it's really professional looking. So. What else?
What was the hardest part about writing the book?
Ooh, that's the best question anyone's asked. Honestly, I would definitely say just like going through it like myself. And what I mean by that is like, I'm not gonna write about anything I haven't gone through myself. Like, how am I supposed to tell people, hey, you should overcome fear, or you should allow God to, guide you through your fears and anxieties, like when I haven't done that myself. And so definitely like there was a period of time of like 3 months where I actually had to stop writing completely because I realized that I was making it too much about myself. Like, I was like trying to, put too much, emphasis on like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And I dedicated like 3 months to just knowing the Bible as much as I possibly could, and praying, and being around community and stuff like that. And that's when I actually began to like let go of my own like anxieties and insecurities and things like that. So I would definitely say just like the hardest part was actually living it out, and actually, overcoming like, my own things, like I said.
Like, a big problem that I have, and I absolutely have procrastination.
Yeah.
I don't think that I could, stay as motivated as you were to write a whole book. Like, I think I would just be like, I don't want to do that. So, like, what were things that you did? And then also what are things that you do in your Christian walk life like every day? You just keep on keeping on, keep on writing a book, keep on working on your faith, and just all that.
So for me, I'm gonna answer this in two parts. One about doing the book, and then the other like the lifestyle thing. So for me, like I told myself at first, I don't know why I did this, but when I first had the idea, I was like, I'm gonna write it in like 3 months. It was the dumbest thing I've ever said in my entire life. Like I was like, I'm gonna write it in 3 months. It's gonna be about this, it's gonna be about that. And then there was, like I said, the time where I paused and I was like, dude, I gotta stop like trying so hard to make it about me and just see Jesus. And so, like I said, I spent that 3 month period doing that, and then there was a period of time where I actually had a buddy come in my room at my apartment when I was living at Jonesboro for like 6 months. It wasn't long, but he came into my room and he was just like, Caleb, like, have you given this over to God? He's like, have you actually like given the book, like all of it, to God? And I was like, well, and then he was like, no, bro, you've got to give it over to God or it's never going to be what it could actually be. And so I remember like literally like getting on my knees and praying and saying, God, like, what do you want me to do? And it was as if I felt the Lord whisper, like, I want you to write about fear. And I was like, no. And he was like, why? And I was like, because I'm afraid. And so that's how I like to describe it. And so I'm not gonna lie, I forgot your first question. Will you repeat it?
Like, how do you deal with like the musical part of the book?
Oh, yeah, okay. So for me, there was actually like, I know my phone's super ridiculous and messed up, but I'll kind of show y'all. For me, like I would be sitting somewhere or doing something, and I would be like praying, and then like an idea for a chapter would come up in my head, and so I would like go in my little notes, and I would go right here, and I would be like, okay, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and I would like write down the ideas and stuff. And so there was like a 4 or 5 month period where I just did that all the time, and then I didn't feel like confirmation, I guess, from the Lord to sit down and actually do it. Like I continue to feel like I need to keep growing and getting better and stuff, but like that was kind of my way of working on it without working on it. Like I would jot down ideas and stuff, but I wouldn't actually do it. And then I went to Passion Conference, and after that, like that was life changing. I heard a message by Jenny Allen that was amazing, Louis Giglio, Tim Tebow, like all those people. And when I got done there, I was like, okay, I'm actually ready to do this thing, to like actually write it. And so what I did to not procrastinate anymore, I actually gave myself a timetable. I said, I want to do this in 3 months. I want to do this. I want to be done by March, by the middle of March, and have it submitted to a publisher by May. And so what I did was there's like 53 subtitles total in the book. And so I jotted that out, and I said, I'm going to write 1 subtitle each day. And the only day that I can skip and justify it is Sunday. And so I was like, I'm going to write this subtitle here, here, and here. And I actually wrote the entire, like I would just like pray before it, and then I'd be like, okay, like, what do you want me to do, Lord? And sometimes in my notes, I could just copy and paste like certain things. But the last chapter, I got so excited to write it that I did it in 1 day. It took me like 6 or 7 hours, but I just sat down and did it. So yeah, I did 1 subtitle each day, and that's honestly like, I do plan on doing another one at some point, and that's what I'm going to do for that. I'm going to pray it out, wait it out, and then, and do that. The lifestyle thing, bro, I just like to say, don't, be in the Word every single day. Every single day. And it's like, if you skip a day, don't skip 2. Show yourself grace. Don't be mad at yourself if you skip a day. But it's like, this is how I connect with God. And I know people are different. Some people are prayer people, and some people are reading people. I'm a reading person. And so I have to, check myself and be like, okay, how much have I actually prayed today? How much have I actually, spent time with the Lord in that way? And so, read your word every single day, which I'm working on something right now. I know a lot of people have trouble knowing where exactly to read, and I'm kind of working on that. I have a project idea, where I can show, people our age, how to actually read it and understand it, and not just be I know a lot of people that say they do this, they'll just go, oh, that's a good page, and then they'll start reading their Bible. But it's I don't mean this in a bad way towards anyone, but I feel like the church hasn't done a good job of sitting down and saying, this is how you read the Bible. and saying, this is how you understand it. And so I see that need in like our generation. And so that's why I'm like, okay, I want to sit down and actually like show the people how to do that. So that's number one. Number two, I try to just serve in some way at least once each day, like whether it's, holding the door open for someone, hey, how's your day been? Stuff like that. And I just try to surround myself with good, godly community. Like, so that's just off the top of my head.
What do you want to do when you grow up? Because you're not grown up yet.
I know what my mom wants me to do, but no, I've actually I've kind of been fighting with that recently, because I'm graduating this coming spring. I'll have my degree from Williams, and I'm gonna have 2 years of eligibility after this year. And as of right now, my plan is to use those 2 years and play and get my master's. And then after that, I want to pursue playing overseas and doing mission work whenever I'm there, like and serving in some kind of church in another country. But that might not be the Lord's plan. Career-wise, I think about either working for FCA or teaching science coaching. And I just really don't know right now. I'm kind of I don't know. I'm just going with the flow right now. So. But as of right now, if I had to make a decision today, I'm going to stay at Williams and get my master's and keep playing. So that's what I'm going to do. What I want to do when I grow up, though, I just want to bring as many people to Jesus as I can. I'm not trying to give a cliche answer by saying that. I don't know what it is God wants me to do, but I just want to spend my life doing whatever it is that will make that happen. So. Anyone else? Somebody ask one more, and then we'll actually, do the thing that we're supposed to do when we are there. Going once. Aubrey.
What have you seen so far as your biggest blessing from God out of it?
That's a very good question. See, you're gonna ask questions like that. That's really a good question. No, I'm just kidding. But no, man, I would just say I would say just the conversations that I'm able to have from it. This is gonna sound really funny, okay? But I literally was able to have an evangelism conversation on Fortnite because of my book. I was playing Fortnite with Ben Keaton, and he, this dude we were playing with started talking about, reading and liking to read. And he was like, well, my friend, hey, Caleb's written a book. And then he was like, oh, really, what's it about? This and that. And I was like, oh, it's about not allowing fear to control your life. And he was like, and I started, literally, I spent an hour on Fortnite sharing the gospel with this dude. And it was the coolest thing ever. I know that that's an extreme example, but definitely just having interactions with people each day, especially in the basketball community, people being like, hey, I heard you wrote that book, and I was like, yeah, well, why'd you write it? And being this is my way to evangelize to people. That's my biggest thing, that, has come from that. And I would also say, having a little more respect, people actually respect what I say now. When I was younger, I felt like no one respected what I said. It really bothered me. But I'm serious, dude. I would talk about something. Hey, am I wrong, Greg?
No, you're right.
No. So now it's especially another thing also just actually being able to say I did it. Because so many people, I told this story at the Cushman one, I'll tell it here. There was a person who, when I was going through the publishing process, there were so many people who I would ask for advice, and I literally had to look at me and say, if I were you, I wouldn't even submit it to a publisher. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I don't think they'll accept a 20-year-old. And I was like, we're not talking to you anymore. Literally, I said respectfully, okay, I'm not going to ask your opinion anymore. And so being able to like, you know, do something like this, I feel like it's, you know, people respect me more, what I have to say more, and that's kind of just all I've wanted, like my whole life. And so, yeah. Camden? What do you think? Yes. Just because you said that. Oh my gosh. I love that kid. Yeah, of course. That is actually such a good, I think that's a God thing. I think I'm going to do that, honestly. I love that so much. No, some people have asked me, are you going to write like a kid's book? And I'm like, yes, like I do want to write one at some point. Like people have asked me too, like, I've said this, there are a couple things in this I just don't think a 12-year-old needs to read. Like, I don't think they need to be exposed to the things I talk about. Like just like one or two, honestly. And so I have actually thought about doing like a kid's version of this, and I really want to do that at some point. So yes, Camden, I will write a kid's book at some point. So. He said, okay. Anyone else?
Question.
Oh, Jacob.
If you were to write a children's book, would you illustrate it yourself?
Absolutely not. You can do it. You can illustrate it for me.
And do you want stick figures or?
No, no.
I'm joking.
No, I would actually, I would like to do that at some point. Another, like Aubrey said, another blessing that has come from it is just, like, opportunities from it. Like, you know, me, like, I've seriously, since I wrote this, I think I've spoken, yeah. I think I've spoken at, like, 12 different events since being able to do this. And, like, a dude asked me, he's like, how much do you charge for speaking engagements? I was like, dude, I don't charge nothing. I come speak. Like, but he ended up paying me, and I was just like, so yeah, being able to, like, you know, being, like, just opportunities from, because they're really good.
So how long have you playing basketball again?
Sir, how long have I?
You know, after that comment, how much longer are you gonna be playing
How
basketball?
much longer am I going to?
Speaking engagements. That's what I was saying. Speaking
You're
engagements.
getting paid for speaking engagements.
Oh,
Oh,
I got paid $40 one time. That's all. Now I've been paid to preach,
wait.
thankfully. We make jokes that I'm his backup pastor, because anytime he needs someone, I usually just go do it. But did you say how, like, can you repeat the question?
I was just saying, I was piggybacking off your statement concerning your speaking engagement getting paid for.
I mean,
Just kind of like, so.
I don't feel like I'm big time enough to be like, yeah, it's $50 every time I speak or anything. Like, now maybe one day if people say like, you know, I think you're talented enough when you speak that you can do things like that, like I might say, I don't know, it's however much. Yeah, so. All right, well, if nobody's gonna ask any more questions or have any comments, I guess we should, you know, do what we were gonna do, sign some books. So,